Hello again, I'm chaotic Shmoo, and this is another Roll20 tutorial. This week we're going to go over the My Settings tab along with some advanced control options for you to have a more smooth and sleek gameplay, or whatever. Real quick though, something I forgot in the previous tutorial, sorry I missed it. You can drag and drop your tokens from your journals. Something I highly recommend doing is creating monsters in the journals so that you can easily drag and drop them and their tokens appear as they are. In the previous tutorial I explained how you can link your token to your journals. You can set everything up here, connect it to the journal, and then add it to your journal, and every time you drag and drop it out, it'll be updated and ready to go. Nice cool feature. Sorry I forgot it last week, but there you have it. Moving on, we have the My Settings tab. It is the last one in the top corner, the gear. Now the reason why I'm doing a little specific tutorial only on this tab is because it's quite an important tab when it comes to gaming on Roll20. The reason is, well, let's go through it and you'll figure out the reason why. First of all, the reason is because you can set macros that are more universal. Instead of player specific macros, which again I will get into macros in the future, they will be their own series of tutorials because they can get very complicated depending on if you have the free package or if you're paying the $10 a month for the mentor package. And you can use API scripting also. So they can get fairly complicated with macros. For right now though, this is where you can add macros. You can click add, it gives us a macro, it opens up the window here to edit your macro. You can name it what you want. Bloop, that's going to be the name of the macro, and then you would enter in the macro, and real quick is a macro essentially is just commands that you use. That is totally wrong. You know, +5. And now if I test this macro out, let's go back over here to the chat real fast. It simply rolls the die and does a D20 +5. You know, very simple. I have a macro set up. You can make multiple macros. The cool thing about this thing is if you scroll down here, you can set it as an token action, which means only when a specific token is selected will it actually work and appear. Like if I set it as a token action, save it, I now have bloop right there. Nice cool feature. Then you also have who can see the macro. So a nice cool feature is if you set up some macros for people, you can automatically just have them set up here. Like if you want a macro, you want that bloop macro to be for everyone. So now any player who selects any token they have permission to select, will have this bloop command up in the top left corner here as a token macro, or a token action. As they specifically say here. Or you can just delete it if you didn't want to use it or whatnot. Sake of it, actually, we're gonna delete it. Confirms it, delete, gone, okay. I don't have any macros, click the add button to add one. So that's the macros of adding basically global macros. So then down here we have the macro bar. If you notice, let's create a macro again real fast. We're gonna call it testing 1, 2, 3. If you notice, dashes don't include spaces in your macros. It reads it like code. And we'll just save a blank one. Well, my macro bar, I'm going to enable it. And again, you saw before down there, you got, you know, it pops up. You can enable it in the bar. And now here it is. It's right here. It's not going to do anything, obviously, because there's an empty macro. But a nice cool feature, because now if you make this available to everyone, they can put it in their macro bar to quick, easy rolls. So moving on, we have the My Settings in the My Settings tab, where you can change your display name. Normally this pops up as your account's default name. It tends to be your first name and last initial. I recommend changing this. I know it says here that to use your out-of-character name for this game here, what I like to do is have everybody actually use their in-game name, so that when we're calling each other, and we're calling each other by our in-game names to be more immersive into the game, and instead of being out of game, in-game, out of game, in-game kind of stuff, because you're going to get to know each other's names out of game either way if you're playing together, but your in-game names can be harder to remember because you might not necessarily say it as much. So I like to say, you know, your name would be, we'll put the token here's name because that's the one we had set up before, and so now my name changes. You know, fairly easy, nice, straightforward, and allows you to be able to remember your party members and your allies' the names. So after that, we have your master volume level. This is available for players and dungeon masters, as if the dungeon master plays a song from the jukebox tab, which is all from SoundCloud. If you're streaming or putting it on YouTube, your games and such, do be careful that there is copywritten material in the jukebox. You can adjust the volume if it's too loud or too soft to your liking. After that, we have the advanced keyboard shortcuts to enable them. Normally they are automatically disabled. I had them enabled for this tutorial. It's testing stuff out. And then you click more information to get to the shortcuts. Now the advanced shortcuts here, if the website wants to load, there it goes. It's basically making it a lot easier. Instead of using the toolbar here, you can easily switch between, you know, map layers. So, you know, I hit M here. I have them set up on my Razer Naga mouse, which are amazing mice, and I highly recommend them for any kind of gaming, including this. Those 12 buttons on the side allow me to be able to switch between my map layer, my token layer, and my GM layer with a simple flick of my thumb. I can change between the pan to the select and pan to freehand to polygon to measurement tool very easily instead of clicking up here. And, you know, okay, here. Now I want to switch back to the token layer. Oh, nope, I need to go back to the GM layer. Makes it a lot faster, a lot easier. It's even got options for being able to switch over your tabs from Art tab, Journal tab, all that stuff. Like you hit I, it'll take over to the Art tab, J to Journal tab, and so on and so forth. So feel free to look through these here. They're very helpful, for quick swaps and everything. Game masters tend to be doing a lot at once, so it can be very helpful to easily be able to transition between different settings and options and layers in the game. So that's the advanced keyboard shortcuts, which again, very helpful. After that, we have the enabled background beep button. Now if you notice, if I go back up here and I click this macro, now it's not going to do anything. Click the little die here, it'll roll it for you. You hear that beep. That beep is saying, hey, check the chat, there's something in there. Now granted, there's not anything in here because that's a blank macro. But if I disable that and now I come up here and I click this, there's nothing appearing. But there, you know, something happened on the chat. A nice feature to have, so you can helps keep monitor stuff. And then you have the advanced dice rolls. Now this is the dice roll icons, the drag and dropping feature. I showed in past tutorials about being able to drag these dice on the screen here. So now I have a 10 die here. You know, nice features like that. That's whether or not you want them enabled or disabled to use them. And then you have the 3D dice option, such as oh, don't have it on there. So let me do /R1D20. Is this wonderful 3D dice feature? You don't have to have it enabled, but it's a nice, you know, more classic style of playing since you can't actually physically roll dice into a computer. That'd be a really cool machine if somebody could make that. That'd be awesome. After that, we have the enabling the chat avatars. That is, it pops up next to your name. You notice how I actually don't have a default image in my portfolio for this account. I never set one up. But if I did, it would appear where this little weird pattern is. Now if I go over here, now they're gone. Completely up to you, customizable settings. And then we have clearing the current chat. Oh look, it's all gone. Very simple. Then we get to the voice and video, or video and voice, since I read it backwards. We have the option to broadcast to others. Now if I change this, it's not going to do anything because nobody's in the game with me. But down at the bottom here, we have where your name is, and where you can pick your color of your die. You have your name. If I did broadcast to others, like video and voice, it would pop up a window for people who have what they want to receive from others. So if somebody wants to receive a video webcam, my webcam, they can do, you know, receive video and voice, or receive only my voice. We've had some issues with the voice in the Roll20 app, so we use my personal TeamSpeak server, but so we just mute it. Let me show you exactly how that works. I'll do regular, and I will do let me reset these. There we go. Now I appear here. I'm gonna mute that little button up there. If you're not using the actual voice and you're just using the video here, now you can see me. You wanna mute this, otherwise you'll have a double voice for anybody who's receiving your video and voice. I really wish, and maybe they'll have them in updates in the future for Roll20, as Roll20 is always growing with new features. They would have a video only option also, and they would automatically mute the mics. That would be really nice. Or they just improve the video and voice to the point where we don't have to use a third-party source and everything works great. Other reason we use a third-party voice option, such as our TeamSpeak, is for if this accidentally goes down, we don't get any interruptions. We still have our voice communicating, considering role-playing games is all, you know, descriptions and voice acting and such. But moving on, we have the different sizes. You notice I changed it to regular. You can see it. One thing, when you change it from large to, or from regular, excuse me, when you change the sizes, you might have to refresh your page because it doesn't change with it. And then it is a little tricky. Sometimes you have to do nothing, disable, and go back, and it'll pop up again. You just got to toggle them on and off basically sometimes to refresh it. Hence, again, why we use a third-party voice source. Hopefully in the future they'll tweak this and fix it, because I know this is more of an experimental options they have going on, and they are kind of still in like an alpha beta phase for the videos. So hopefully they'll fix those in the future. But otherwise, it's still really cool to use. When you check out my streams and stuff, I always have my camera on, and you know, if the camera's not on, then there's some kind of glitch happening with Roll20. It's technology, it happens. So moving on, we have your campaign settings. And the campaign settings, if you noticed in the previous tutorials, I click this token here, and I got the 3 circles that I've explained before. At least I hope I have. I've done a lot. Yeah, I think I've explained these before. If not, well then I have a bad memory. You can change the colors of the dots, of the bars. Each bar has a color. If I change this to orange, I think that's orange. It's now orange. Double click it, it's now orange. You can change them to how you like. Like bar 3 is red. We tend to use health as red. Well, if you want to go in order, you might want to make bar 1, which is actually number 2 on here, your health, which can get kind of confusing. So bar 1 is actually the middle one, bar 2 is actually the third one, and bar 3 is actually the first one. I don't know how they got that or why it's that way. It can get confusing, but I tend to leave it default what it is. Because bar 3 is always health. I just know that. So then also we have your status markers on your tokens as to where they appear. Now it's top default, so if I select this and I click the status circle here, and we'll put a snail on here saying he's moving slow. Notice it appeared in the top corner here. Let me make this guy a little bigger. You can see, didn't make the status bar any bigger though. But you can see the snail there. Now if I change this to bottom, it'll swap down to the bottom one. Left, it'll go left side. Top, right, it'll go back to the right top. But it'll go like, here, we'll go right, we'll add a bunch more. It'll go down, from the right, down from the left, and then bottom and top. Nice, where you want your status effects. Like if you don't want your status effect to be over your health, you might want to put it on the bottom. It's it's completely personalized options, however you feel like having your settings set up. After that, we have your deck size. Now, if you're using the card system in Roll20, which I will go over next week's tutorial, will be on decks and rollable tables. So look forward to that. Rollable tables can be a lot of fun. I'm currently using them in my game for rolling random treasure and being able to randomly select a player and whatnot. But I'll get more into that later. I'm totally getting on a rant and not the current topic. So let's get back on topic. The deck size allows you to change the size of the deck. Straightforward. Scroll more or less, moving on, we have the different software that's used for your voice and video, or video and voice. I said it backwards again. Yay, dyslexia. No, seriously. That's different options. You can have none, so then nobody can use this option. It'll refresh and it'll get rid of my, see, it gets rid of my video there. Or you can enable it. Let's get this back up now. So that's the features to basically be able to completely turn off the ability for your campaign, so nobody can have the video and voice and such, or have it so people can have it. Now let's get this. Let me get my pretty face back up here for you. And then lastly, the experimental features, I should say, before we get to the last two buttons here. There is one option in here, but that is for the mentor status. So nothing here right now because this is the free account. So you don't have to worry about that section. So the last two options is obviously exiting the game. The very first thing you did in the very first tutorial, or one of the very first tutorials, made your account, you set up your campaign, you went right in here, and I told you to exit. So you should actually know already what that button does if you've been following along. If not, head over back to the beginning tutorials that'll explain all that stuff. Go through everything in Roll20. And then you can actually join as a player, which I will click, and it reloads the campaign screen to be now as a player. So you notice on top here things are missing. Tabs are missing on top above the chat. Your toolbar is shorter because you don't have so many options. You can't swap between layers anymore. It limits what you can do. I can't select anything now because I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody set up for me for Shmoo to be able to control my account, to be able to control any of these guys. But it allows you to see the perspective of the player, so you can make sure you're setting stuff up right. Now, if you go back to the My Settings and scroll back down, you could rejoin back as your game master. Nice, cool, awesome features, because Roll20 is amazing. Straightforward. Not going to sugarcoat it. They're awesome. That wraps up the My Settings tab. Like I said, I wanted to make sure I went over it because, well, stuff I clearly spoke here. Making sure you know the macros and how to add the quick bar, which can help speed up rolls instead of having to type it all up and go over here and drop it down and, you know, click it and let it go. You want even faster games, disable that 3D, or faster rolls, disable the 3D dice. It's really just a cool, fun feature. Not required. It automatically is disabled when you start your account, I should note. So then we learned how to change name, the volume, background beeps. Don't forget about the advanced shortcuts here. Very easily tool. Players can utilize these also. Obviously, players can't switch between layers because that's the Game Master's only features and such. Some of these are Game Master only, but others are still available for players too, which can help, you know, keep games running smooth. Enabling a 3D dice, clearing the chat, again, Game Master only. Seeing, you know, do you want people to see you or not see you? Hello again. And the size of the window, and I shrink it down, it gets all messed up again. But if you put it back, it stays. I hope they fix that. Might just be a little glitch. I might have to do a little bug report. And then where the colors of the bars for the tokens and what status markers positions are at your deck, whether or not you have the camera on or off for everybody, and then exiting the game. That wraps it up. Thank you all for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like this video, and share it with your friends. As always, I'm chaotic Shmoo. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.
Bye, 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 bye.